Can't see any.
Sure.
We are live. I hope we are live. Hey everyone. Welcome to MakerCast episode 10. Woohoo!
Woo.
And just want to make sure from the chat that we're live. Yep, we are. Off we go. Cool.
Right.
So thanks everyone for joining. We are going to do a round robin intro, and we're going to start with Brian. Who are you, Brian?
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm Brian Lough from YouTube channel Brian Lough. I'm from Ireland. I'm a software developer, and I mainly do videos on ESP8266 stuff and sometimes ESP32 and a bit of board design stuff. That's me.
Okay, cool. James?
Hi, I'm James Sharman. I've got a YouTube channel which is imaginatively called James Sharman, and I've been doing electronics for just coming up to a year now on YouTube. I develop software as well for a job. I develop computer games, and that's me.
Awesome. Emily?
Hi, I'm Emily Velasco. I'm actually a science writer, so my job is taking research papers for a university and turning them into press releases and articles for the public. So my job really has nothing to do with my hobbies. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Emily's Electric Oddities, and I kind of work on an assortment of stuff. It's sort of macabre things, electronics and bones and woodworking and metalworking. So all sorts of things.
Awesome. Timon?
Hi, I'm Timon. I don't really have a YouTube channel. I mean, I have 3 videos, I think, which I might change in the future. But I mostly do hardware development, hacking, making on Hackaday.io. I post a lot on Twitter about that. And job-wise, I do software and hardware development stuff. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Bitluni, do you need an intro?
I'm bitluni from Bitluny's Lab, and I'm a maker doing mostly ESP32 for the past years, and all stuff around that.
Wow, cool. Okay, and I am Seon, Unexpected Maker. It's my YouTube channel, and I'm a tinkerer of electronics and 3D printing and laser cutting, and wannabe hardware engineer, and mainly work in the digital electronic side of things. Cool. So that's everyone done. Just a couple of things for those in chat. If you want to message anyone in chat, just at us. So at Unexpected Maker if you want me to see a message, or at anyone else. We should actually put, can everyone just in this stream post something into the chat to say hi so everyone knows what your alias is? That'd be really good. If they know what you're at. And I can see Mr. Ludgate is in the chat. It'd be really cool, mate, if you could just help us out with some moderation and bring things to our attention. So we're going to start this off by doing a recap of the Maker Month, stuff we've been working on. Any exciting projects or anything, I guess, exciting coming up? I know, Brian, you've had some pretty exciting things happen this month, haven't you? So we'll start with you again.
Yeah. Literally, just as you said that, I was like, there's something in that wardrobe that I really should have taken out. But maybe we'll leave it there for now. So it's been a couple of months since I was on the last MakerCast. I have no idea what fell into this month or the previous month, so I'll just talk about it. Main thing that I was doing was around Christmas trees. I've been told my mic is quiet, so I'm pulling that up closer to me. So getting ready for Christmas. I know it's a little bit far away from it, but my PCB3, which is a Christmas tree shaped PCB with reverse mounted LEDs. I suppose I should turn one on. Yes, so it shines through the back of it. So last year I made green ones, and now this year I have a white one and I have a black one, which looks kind of purpley on camera, but it is pretty black. Somebody also contacted me and asked for a custom run for kind of like a corporate gift. So I don't know what people normally give around here, around the place, but in Ireland, it would often be like a hamper or like bottles of whiskey or whatever that you'd send to customers, and people are going to laugh at the bottles of whiskey thing with the whole Irish stereotype. But so he was asking, battery's gone. He was asking for 100 of them, and he was going to assemble them himself. But the reverse-mounted LEDs are quite hard to assemble, so I actually made a true-hole version of one and have his logo built in using exposed copper. Where is it there? Yeah, so that's the Christmas trees. Another thing that I was doing, which was kind of interesting, was I made up, this might be kind of hard to show, I made up a little coin cell replacement thing, focus camera. So it's literally just two PCBs together. One of them has a micro USB connection on it, and it's not focusing. Great. Yeah, but you get the point. And it goes into the same slot as the coin cell of the PCB tree. So people will probably be saying, hey, that's 5 volts and a coin cell is 3 volts, and you're right. But the PCB3 uses an Atiny, which is able to run on both or the 2 voltage ranges, so it doesn't need to be. I did a stream recently where bitluni was saying that I was going to kill a load of boards using that 5 volts coin cell adapter thing. So I am selling that individually. It's only an add-on for the tree. Just yesterday, I released a video that I actually pretty much finished like 6 months ago on how to connect to an API using ESP8266. Yeah, I had that video. Like anything that wasn't this shot of me sitting in my office was recorded like in March, and it was all fully edited and everything. And I don't know why I never got around to it, like just finishing it off really. But yeah, it's done and out there, and that's going okay. And yeah, then last night actually as well, I did a little bit of work on getting the team trees live count back. So I'm scraping their web page directly on the ESP8266 and getting the data back. I was desperately trying to work on getting it onto one of the matrix displays before my time was out, but maybe after everyone else's time is over, I'll have something and I'll show it up. So let me just grab that thing I was going to get. 1 second.
Yeah, we can definitely come back to you, Brian. That's fine. Is Evan in? Wait, is Evan in there? Hi, Evan.
Yes, I haven't heard from Evan in a while, so it's starting to smell a bit back there. So this was something that happened that I was pretty proud of. I am on the cover of a magazine. So the latest version of Hackspace magazine has my frowny face on it. Again,
page 3?
I did not make page 3. Funnily enough, Looney, page 3 has a different meaning in the UK and Ireland. It's to do with a tabloid newspaper. Ireland. Yeah.
Isn't it the same thing?
Oh, yes, no, that is something that happened. I bought something off bitluni, so I typed in my address on Tindy. Like, I gave him my address and he sent it to my address, but instead of Ireland, he put United Kingdom, and it still got here. So fair play to Royal Mail and On Post or whoever made that right. But yes, bitluni needs a geography and possibly history lesson.
It's not that the problem. I had like within a few days, like 30 orders to ship, and many of those were to the UK, and I have always to select from a drop-down menu the destination country, and I was just looking at the postcode. That was just a mishap.
It's okay. It got here and now sits in my drawer or my box of maker stuff, along with all the other things I've bought on Tindy and have not used. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it from me. If yeah, I'll try get that Team Trees thing finished, and I'll get back to you on it. But
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome. What are they up to now, by the way? Is it like 13 million, I think?
It was 12 million last night when I was doing it, but it could easily be 13 now. I don't know.
Wow, that's crazy.
Pretty good going.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's move on to James.
Hello. Okay, so I haven't actually done very much making in the last month. I've been insanely busy at work, as Seon will know from hearing me complain about stuff at gone midnight. But I'm going to be telling you a bit about what my channel is about. I've been building a microprocessor. So these other guys will talk to you about their microcontrollers and ESP32s. And I have a kind of a 1 meter across slab of breadboards in front of me, which is making an attempt at being a processor, but without a central processing unit. So this has been a incredible journey for me. I've spent most of my career being a low-level programmer. So all of these different terms like pipeline and ALU are things that had a particular meaning to me. And so building this thing has been coming across all of this same stuff from the flip side. So it all started off on breadboard. I actually discovered something quite interesting a couple of days ago. I was looking through my eBay history, and my first batch of 5 breadboards, one of which is still here as my clock, was purchased exactly 1 year ago today. So lots of these circuits started out like that. This is my latest PCB, which you can go and look at all the selection of these on my YouTube channel. But yeah, it's been interesting. I've been having problems recently. The scale of the project has just grown to a point where the accumulation of tiny little errors has started to trip me up. So I just bought myself an oscilloscope. Julian was telling me to get one of these about 6 months ago, and I didn't listen. But that's really opening up a lot of extra knowledge about the electrical characteristics of what is going on in here. So that's what I'm up to.
You going to give us a look?
I don't want everyone to feel sick, so warning, here's a camera is about to go moving. So here is my processor build as it stands. This one I showed you belongs over here, but I'm currently running some experiments with a breadboard version. So here's a little message for you all, and you can see an example of one of my errors, which was not showing up earlier when I showed it to the other guys. But yeah, come and take a look on the YouTube channel if you're interested. I go into quite a lot of detail about what I'm building. This is basically me learning electronics from scratch. So not everything I say can be taken as correct, but I feel like I've learned an awful lot over the almost year I've been making this thing.
Can I ask you a question, James? Do you have any idea how many connections you have on that? Like, as in how many wires are going between everything? Even ballpark.
The breadboard wires, I've not got a clue.
A lot.
The thing is, when you shape wires that are just straight, like all these kind of power and ground lines, you reuse them. But a lot of these more complicated shaped wires, once they come off the breadboards, you don't get to reuse them. And somewhere around here, I've got a tray with vast numbers in, but have never found reuse. It's full of mess. But so my experience of watching Seon streams for the last kind of 9 months has been sat there shaping wires for my breadboards while I'm watching the stream. I'm often cutting my fingers.
So I'm a background distraction, am I? Thanks, James. Appreciate that. Awesome. I can't believe how fragile that looks, by the way. Just like that's, I mean, it's obviously taking up a lot of space on your desk, but that just, I'd be scared of bumping it and just having everything fall apart. So.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of things I can add to that. I've got a big slab of wood over here, which I kind of slide it off onto there and put it to one side. Okay. So when you see me working on little bits of project in between, it's off to one side. And there is a side effect of a certain other thing in my house. I have discovered during this close examination of my system a couple of chewed wires. So my cat has actually been at the breadboards.
Wow.
It's just trying to help.
I've not identified a problem associated with that action, but it is certainly something I'm going to be a little bit more careful of. It's possible some of these chips have been drawled on as well.
Okay. So a question from the chat, how fast can the clock go? How fast can the CPU run?
How fast can it run? That's a good question. I don't honestly know. Obviously, normally when you're talking about speeding up a processor, you're saying how high can it go before it becomes unstable, and right now it's slightly unstable at about 2 hertz. But
not very fast. Okay.
In terms of what it can theoretically run at, because I can actually disconnect a couple of bits and do lots on here very stably. I'm running it off a 555 timer at the moment, and so the maximum rate I can get out of that is limited, but I think it's running at about 30 to 40 kilohertz when I basically let it run as fast as it can, which is actually a good way of flushing problems out. I reckon that the design of the system, kind of tracing what the critical path logically is through it, I reckon I can probably get up to 4 megahertz as the design stands, and the capping thing there is actually the EEPROMs. So if I swap the EEPROMs in the pipeline out for one-time programmable ones, I can just about double that. And then I run into limits of what my counter chips can do without putting kind of look-ahead carry devices in there and stuff like that. But honestly, if I get this to about 1.5 megahertz, I'll be happy. So one of the unique things about this board design compared to some of the smaller ones out there is it's pipelined. So most of its operations will happen one cycle and the kind of one mix point, I really want to hit that.
Cool. I'll look forward to seeing the rest of your progress on your channel. By the way, everyone's channel links are in the description of this MakerCast video below. Awesome. Okay, so next up, let's go the same order we did before. Emily, what have you been up to?
A lot. I keep myself really busy, and I don't really have like none of these are projects that like have like deadlines, but I just kind of pile myself up with too much stuff to do. And I saw people talking about cats in the live chat, and mine just showed up. So here's mine. Oh, he's gonna get mad though because he doesn't like to be held. What have I been working on? Well, you know, it's October, so I was working on my Halloween costume, and that one had a deadline, and so I was working on this thing. This is my crown, my bone crown for Halloween. There's not a lot of electronics to it, other than that there's a little bit of wiring here. There's a coin cell and 3 LEDs. That's it. So I was working on this thing. I was working on, I don't know if, probably not a lot of people saw the video because I looked at the analytics for it, but I was working on my project, the Death Clock, which I have here as well. And if you aren't familiar with this thing, I guess it's the right way around. This is a silly thing I made that uses a Raspberry Pi Zero and a vacuum fluorescent display, and it purports to tell you when you're going to die. So you just touch this, and then it goes through its little routine, and then it says you die on, and let's see, it's going to say, so 8:07 a.m. on Saturday. And that's just completely random. But I've been working on this thing since like April, but I like decided I needed to buckle down and get it done for Halloween. So I've been working on that. And a friend of mine who's an artist asked me for some help. he does a lot of like blues-based art, featuring blues musicians and old blues clubs. And he started building this thing. It's a guitar, and it has he built sort of like a little facade of like a juke joint, like a dance hall on the front of it. But he wanted a video to play in the doorway when people walked up, and he wanted music to play. And he doesn't know anything about electronics, so he asked me to help. So I've been helping him with that. I'm not going to try to bring it over here because it's big and it's bulky and whatever, but it's a guitar, it's blue, and it has this little shop thing, and there's people dancing when you walk up to it. It's got a motion sensor, and I just finished that yesterday. So I'm pretty happy with how it came out, and it's going to be in a gallery next week, I think. So that'll be fun to go see that, even though it's not really my art project. It was fun to contribute to it.
Have you got a video of that, of you making that at all?
Yeah, on Twitter. Let me see here. Let me try to get that. I didn't set up the screen share, so this might be a disaster. But yeah, I've got the video. I haven't done a YouTube video on it because it was, I don't know. It's not really my project, so I didn't really want to do a video on something that wasn't mine.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know if I can do this. Let's see. Screen share. Let's see if I can do this here. Screen share. Okay. Okay. Share entire screen. Yep. Share. And Chrome tab. There we go. Share. Okay. So let's see if this will work. Maybe. There we go. It's kind of tricky, but
Oh, wow.
and there's the people and the music, and so it's kind of cute. It's fun. And all that is a Raspberry Pi 0W, Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, and a PIR motion sensor, and a little Adafruit screen. There's not much to it. So
the screen's sitting inside the door, so it looks like the people are dancing inside the front.
yeah,
Of the,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Thanks.
Okay.
Oh boy. Close that.
Hey, Timon.
A second, maybe there was a question from the chat about SuperCon. Emily, are you going? Are you giving a talk?
I am going, and I am giving a talk. And I'm rather stressed out about it because they want our slides by Thursday this week, and I have not written anything yet. So I need to get on the ball this week. But yeah, I'm giving a talk. It'll be on Sunday afternoon. And my talk is, the theme is like why you should make ugly, weird, and annoying things. So I think that'll be fun.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
bitluni's also not started his talk yet, has he?
Yeah, no, I didn't create a slide yet, and I have also to turn them in on Thursday, and my taxes on the day before. So,
You guys.
All right. Well, high five.
Okay, let's go over to Timon. There you go. So what have you been working on?
Hey, yeah, actually, I have to back up quite a bit. I think I've been only working on one project this year, I think. So for the past 9 months, I've been working on making my own tablet. I think I have to get a bit into the history of that before I start on what I've been doing the past month. So I think most of you know the Hackaday prize, maybe, or at least Hackaday, which is like a competition they do every year, and I try to enter that every year with some project because it's always like a great motivation to do stuff for more, again, in the long term. Because I always have the issue to like I start a project and then I get to the next one without finishing the first one and so on. And for this year, I wanted to do a tablet. And I had wanted to do this for quite a while now. And this comes a bit from a like frustration from the current market of like tablets and phones and all that. Like basically you have Android and you have iOS, and you're completely locked into these devices. Like you can't like put a different operating system on there without like big hacks, and you don't even have root access or anything like that. So you're like, you don't really own that device, and you can't can't change the device. It's like one monolithic block of computing, and if stuff is outdated, you just have to throw it away, basically. And this has frustrated me. So I wanted to fix that in some way. So I've been starting to think about how to address these issues. And yeah, I started making a tablet, and I've been learning a lot of things. One of the goals I had was to make it like a proper thing. So it has to be fast, can't be like super outdated. So Raspberry Pi 3 at that time wasn't really an option. And it has to be thin enough, at least, as far as I can make it. Because, I mean, this is not something that hasn't been done before. Like, people have been putting Raspberry Pis into like a big case and use the touchscreen that's available for that. And, you know, that works, but I wanted to make more of a product out of that. So I can actually show you what I have, like a mechanical prototype I have right now. Screen is broken, unfortunately. You can see the crack there.
Well, that's quite thin. Wow.
Yeah, it can get thinner, actually. Like, if you, let's get it closer here. That is a USB-C port. And like, one of the big ideas behind that, I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but you can basically rearrange the position of these peripheral slots here. So you have like little blocks here, and you can detach them and add new peripherals. Like, I don't know, you want HDMI for some reason there, and you can just add that. You can just take that out. And maybe I can actually show you some pictures of that. If I get that screen sharing going. Share screen. So this is my project page, and all the pictures I have there. So here you can kind of see that. So you get these like little blocks that are mounted on this mounting bracket, I call that. It's just this aluminum piece you see in the middle. And then you can add like new hardware to this. So let's say you have some really obscure, let's say you're a radio enthusiast, so you want to add an RTL, like a software-defined radio stick or something like that, or whatever you come up with, like make your own board or something. And you can just, you know, add that here, and then have a little faceplate that covers that up. And so you have like a similar control over the hardware that goes into this tablet, like you have on your desktop PC. That's what I want to go there. Like, I wanted to get this ecosystem that we had. Well, we don't really have it anymore, but that we had in the PC world and to some degree in the laptop world, and bring that over to like the mobile world without making it completely ridiculous. Because, I mean, sure, you will have some certain overhead here in terms of size. Yeah, and then that's what I've come up with so far. And I plan to have different like height standards for this. At the moment, I'm planning with 3. So this is 8 millimeters at the moment, which can support some of those. I mean, nowadays, I guess, legacy ports like USB-A, full-size HDMI. But you could go even thinner to about 5 millimeters, I think, for like things like USB-C and stuff like that, because they're much thinner. But you can also go up to so far I'm seeing like 20 centimeters for like ridiculous things like, I don't know, VGA ports or like big clunky serial port, or I don't know, Nintendo controller output, whatever. Like, it's totally up to you what goes into this, and like you can modify it to your needs. Like, it's not the manufacturer telling you what ports you need nowadays, which now is just USB-C, nothing else. And you decide what comes in there. And yeah, one of the roadblocks that I've hit so far in the before, or why I didn't do it so far, is just, first of all, screens weren't really cheap enough. It was really expensive to get like a high-res screen. You could get like, I don't know, 720p was like a really high resolution already. But I mean, if you compare that to today's tablets, that's really, really low res. And I wanted something at least, I don't know, full HD. Like you don't downgrade from what you have already, so it should be high end to some degree. And same with the processor. I'm trying to find a picture of the board. This is like an early mock-up, but as you can see here, maybe if you're familiar with that, Jetson Nano is what I'm working on at the moment. This is like the same processor that goes in the Nintendo Switch, so it's pretty beefy. Got 4 GB of RAM, so this is a pretty hefty basis to do this stuff. So this was.
Does that fit inside 8mm? Because I thought the Jetson Nano was much taller. Or
yeah, I mean this is my own board. This is my own carrier board. Maybe you can switch to. Can you make my camera bigger again? Then I can show you the.
Oops.
Oh, the other one.
There we go.
So this is the module with the heatsink on, like a standard heatsink. This is the first board I made, like it as a training exercise, because I didn't know anything about like high-speed signals and stuff like that. So I had to learn that. And this was like my first board I did for the Jetson to like test out if I can actually do that.
Okay.
And this is my 3rd revision. It came last week. This is without the heatsink now. So, this is pretty thin.
Yeah, it's really. But you need the heat.
Yeah, for the heatsink, that was like, I had to think a lot about that. But what I came up with now, so you can see this cutout here. And what you see there, that is the system on a chip. Like that's the actual computer. And you get these like copper shims, like for VRAM on the GPU or something.
Yep.
To bridge these last few millimeters to make that somewhat flat.
Okay.
And then this whole thing goes onto this huge aluminium piece that you've seen before. So you've got this big aluminium mounting plate that will suck out all the heat and has some surface contact with the air outside, so it's not like trapped inside. And I hope that will be enough, but let's see.
Awesome. It's really cool. So when are you going to have the first prototype up and running?
I mean, the sad thing about this, my very first board, except for this one stupid botch here, which was for the DisplayPort hot plug, it worked perfectly. Everything was working. And the past revisions, it just always had some issues, and mostly with the DisplayPort at the moment. And it's always some obscure thing that happened between, I don't know, there's a lot of debugging going on there. But as soon as I get the DisplayPort running, because that will drive the actual the display that comes in here, that's an embedded DisplayPort display, then I could make the first self-contained thing. I can put this stuff in here and do first actual tests with this. Like mechanical-wise, my ideas work mostly out, I guess. But yeah, the electrical part is still a bit shaky.
Awesome.
So I don't know. And
pretty ambitious. It's pretty cool.
I've actually gone into the finals with this for the Hack Day prize. So at SuperCon, I will know if I've won a lot of money or not, which is really anxious about that.
It'd be nice. Wicked. Okay. Well, not long to go till you find out.
Yeah.
Very cool. Cool. Okay. Oh, Brian's got his tree counter going. Yay.
Yep, nice. The display is kind of broken. Green isn't working for some reason, so blue will have to do. And also, I forgot how bad the ESP8266 is for the matrix compared to the ESP32 because of the flicker when it's making the HTTP request does not happen on the ESP32 and it does on the ESP8266. So, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Bitluni.
Speaking of Super Nintendo connectors, like this one here.
Okay, the whole time, haven't you?
We have to turn down like 2 levels of high end now because it's LEDs and not high end tablets. I did for Halloween. I did like this Halloween badge. It's quite bright here inside, so you can see it's animated with some sound even. So with a buzzer, it's can I hear it? No. Okay, the buzzer doesn't work. No, maybe the battery is too low because the buzzer is 5 volts and it barely works if it's fully charged, and then it stops working at some point. So I did the badge and sold a few and gave away to my supporters, but still have like here maybe 50 or something like that left. And yeah, many people from family and yeah, wanted also to have one, so I'm giving them also a few pieces. But yeah, it was quite interesting because that was like the first shot, and I had like 4 or 5 mistakes with the badge. Sorry? I had like 4 or 5 mistakes with that. I thought that it would be programmed with the in-system programmer, but I took like a new ATtiny because the others are harder to source or are more expensive. And then I discovered that's programmed over UPDI. Yeah, UPDI. That's like a new interface that's using the reset pin. And I had to learn everything about that, and found this cool library, and actually made a video first on the badge and then how to program the new ATtiny. So that was the second video this month. And yeah, but I had also like wrong button connections used, and I had like to use another button, but it's still working. And I got it as far as that's a piezo buzzer, and I even tried to play back samples. So there are samples stored on this ATtiny. This has like 16 kilobytes of flash. So there's like 2 seconds of audio can be stored at like 8 kilohertz. But it's quite hard to play back audio on the piezo buzzer, because that's a like resonance frequency around, I don't know, 1 kilohertz or 800 hertz or something like that. But it's still working with sigma delta modulation to some extent, and that's what I implemented with this badge. And I actually, the video after the one that's really basic for beginners, how to program ATtiny from the Arduino IDE, I started to make a video on sigma delta modulation, since I didn't know anything about that. Just heard the first time I read in the specs of the ESP32, which has like 8 channels of hardware accelerated sigma delta modulation modulators that are working at 80 megahertz or something, or yeah. So they are quite good. So they are like additional digital to analog converters, let's say, in short. And I started to do a video on that, but that dragged a little bit. It's quite a lot of explaining. And then we had like Halloween coming, and I did this pumpkin. So yeah, that's has a motion. It's a motion detection, and I can just pull out the innards. So I just took like old code pieces that I used for lightsaber and so on. I can maybe increase the volume. Yeah. So if the motion detection sensor detects something, it just flashes the LEDs and plays the sample. And that was like done on Thursday in like 3 hours. And I carved a pumpkin and put it outside, and we had actually kids coming over here for trick-and-treaters, and they really liked that. So that was a really quick project that I just put in between, since yeah, the topic isn't very hot anymore since Halloween is over. But yeah, I did like edited the video in 2 days, and it was released today. In the background, I was working like the last time I mentioned that one. I announced that already in a video for the 10-player console that's using like 10 Super Nintendo controllers. And this is actually a wing for the Adafruit Feather 32. So that uses also the ESP32. And yeah, I made it like fancy. I wanted to have the stereo on the DeX, and an additional, the second I2S would do like with the external resistor ladder the video PAL signal, but color doesn't work with the external resistor ladder. It simply refuses to work. So I had tried to debug it for I don't know, maybe 1 week, and gave up, and designed like a new back to the roots new wing that arrived like 2 days ago, and that's using only the two internal decks that I have done that like 1 year ago, but never did a board on that. And this board has almost no components. There's only this capacitor. So that was the topic of that videos back then. So I got like color running from the decks and even audio, but that's then mono. And I had also the controllers already running. So I gave a talk on Maker Faire in Berlin 2 years ago. 2 years ago, or 1.5 years ago, on that. And that's actually the topic that I will talk about on the Hackaday SuperCon. But yeah, since then, as you might have seen, developed also the VGA boards that are quite interesting, or I like them because I get like crisper pixels and color out of them, and I developed it even further. So that one, my supporters saw that already. So that's a spoiler alert. It's it has like VGA, 2 USB host adapters, a micro SD card, and the room ESP32 room module, and an audio jack here. So that board is ready to. I just put out all the pieces from the bomb, so it's like a huge bomb, and I will try the first 2 boards to place today, since I want to have at least a picture of an assembled board for my presentation on the Hackaday SuperCon, like to show if it works. So in the background, I was working on that, and that actually what I imagine to do is to emulate an MS-DOS machine on the ESP32. And so I started it was like some time ago, but I started to develop an emulator for 8086 processor, and I continued. It was like just the basis of that, and continued like 2 weeks ago. I continued to implement that, and I was so digged in this emulator that I was the complete like 1 week. I was doing only this, and I had done it so far. So my attempt is to put like the interface that the ESP32 is also emulating the BIOS, the basic input-output system, and I just emulate a disk, and I have a boot disk for MS-DOS 2 currently that I'm using, but I want to go at least to MS-DOS 5 at some point. So I load the image on the internal flash of the ESP32 right now, but I also have the SD card, so you can put later the disk on the SD card, and it's loading the boot sector actually. And I started to simply go instruction by instruction of the 8086, and interpreting it and implementing every instruction that I encounter step by step. And I got as far this week as completely running through the boot sector. But what it does, it displays no system and boot disk error press key to try again, and then it will reboot. So I did like this complete loop, but there is something missing, and because it does like some crazy calculations and loads like a specific sector from the disk, but then it returns with this error message. So something is still wrong, probably. Like there is a BIOS memory area that has some variables, and maybe MS-DOS has some variables that tries to access these and can't read them, or they are all 0, and then it cancels with this error message. So yeah, but I won't continue with that for the next month, since I'm busy with the Hackaday SuperCon. Yeah, that was only one part, but I was talking too long already, wasn't I? Okay, I have maybe two short things. So I'm like doing 2 bots a week right now, and I also wanted to, since that was quite a topic, how far can you go with the ESP32? And the question was, can you do HDMI? And I'm pretty sure it isn't possible without external components. So you need a serializer, since you have to have like, what was it? At least 160 megahertz, megahertz clock output. That's not possible, since internally you can ESP32 maxes out at the GPIO matrix at 40 megahertz. So that's not possible, but I wanted to debug HDMI signals, and that's simply a breadboard. That won't focus. Okay, that's simply a breadboard. Like a piece of HDMI cable on a breadboard friendly breakout that probably messes with the signals, but at least I can put like actual video signal from the PC to the monitor, and can use the oscilloscope to see the signal and everything for that. But that's like a bonus project, and here that's just another USB host dev board. So that's like very small. It only has this CH. What was the CPU? Yeah, it's like this small microcontroller that converts that is capable of doing 2 USB hosts. So, and that will be just like a dev board or something for that. And that's actually all I did this month.
Wow. Is
that
all?
HDMI board looks dangerously close to the power blocker. You better not be infringing on my patents.
Yeah, but I did a mistake here too. It's mini HDMI and not the actual size.
No.
I don't even know if I have like 2 adapters for that. So
Whoops.
I picked the wrong part. I was wondering why the traces are so close.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff you've taken on, Looney. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, it's taken a while. I'll quickly jump in. I'll try to be as quick as possible. Let me just change views. Let's see if I can there you go. I've had a pretty crazy month of, as usual, taking on way too much, way more than I can handle, which has led me down an interesting path. So I finally got my 2019 badges finished, which is really cool because it's November. So, and they're not even, so my Tindy store is ready to go. I made a build video. I just haven't hit the release button yet, but I'm excited that I can at least maybe release the badge in time before it's 2020, because it actually says 2019 on the badge. So that'd be a shame. I can't leave it till next year. Finish my IO expanders, and I've got some help from Adam and Mike to do the libraries for MicroPython and Arduino, because I just had no time to do those. X7 segments are finished and the Tindy store is ready to go, which is awesome as well. Got my Pro S2 revision 2 up and running. Got my Tiny Pico Nano revision 2 up and running. I've got my IPS display shields. Got the boards delivered yesterday, so I'm going to start assembling those. And I'm doing an RGB LED matrix, the shield, the one that Alex, Tiny LED Matrix, designed. I'm going to be manufacturing those for him. They're going to be selling, and I'll be selling those at cost because they're not mine, they're his, but he doesn't want to make them, so I'm going to make them for him. But what's happened, and then I've also been working on solutions for storing my components. Right, so here's the thing. I've got so many boards in production right now, not including the tiny picos that I'm still building. I've got components and parts all over my workshop. I've got on the floor, on the shelf, on the desk. It's out of freaking control. And so I have found myself going down a very deep rabbit hole of trying to solve how I store and track all of my components, right? Now, we've been discussing this for a while. There's been discussions on Twitter about it and on Discord, and I've been chatting with people privately about what their solutions they're working on. And there are different apps out there that allow you to track all your components. There's Part Keeper, which is no longer being developed, but it's still available to use. There's Partbox, which is it's an online tool. There's a free tier, but it's kind of limited on how many components you can use and stuff. And so I've found myself over the last 3 or 4 days designing my own components website system, which I swore I'd never, ever do. And I deliberately got out of software. I got into hardware so I could get out of software, but I found myself back. Like, I started with just something small I wanted to build, and then now I've gone way down the rabbit hole, like just way too far. And I feel like I need to see this through. So I'm going to show you guys what I've been working on. My aim for it was it's obviously it's a web-based solution. I'm building it specifically for me and my needs, because most of the other, or all of the other solutions out there are just way too complex. They've either got usability things that I don't like, or they're just, I just need something that's really tailored for my use, but I think it can be good enough to be used by other people. So, okay, where do I start? Let me just share my screen quickly. It might be a bit hard to see. So it's currently called MyParts, myparts.io. It's not live hosted right now. It's just being developed on my own system. And so basically I'm trying to do a really intuitively usable but simple system that allows you to track. I've only got a couple of parts in here right now, to track parts, to track projects, and you'll be able to track all your storage as well. Right now there's nothing on storage. And so under admin, you've got, for instance, you can build a whole bunch of different categories. Can everyone see that? I might, if I can make it, I'll try to make it bigger. It might make the web page not work very well. So you've got different type of part categories, and then got part types that you can set up per category. And I've kind of built this based on what LCSC have got for their categories, because I buy most of my components from LCSC. It's all paginated. You can also then create your own package types. So obviously I've got tape, reel, loose, and bags. And for instance, I can make floor, because right now I've got components all over my floor. So now I've got a new floor package type. You can set up your own footprint types. I've just got a bunch in here as well. And then location types. Actually, floor should have been a location type. Okay. So you can create all the different places that you could potentially put components in. You'll also be able to track all your supplies in there. And then what you can do is, although I haven't got it set up yet, but you'll be able to put barcodes against all of your storage places. And so you'll be able to track not just where your parts are, but where those actual location places are as well. And I'm in tandem with this, I'm developing at least for my reels right now, a storage rack system for my reels that I can put my reels in, and each one of those can be barcoded, but it'll also, my intent is that I'll be able to run this on a Raspberry Pi and I'll be able to have a scanner on it, and I'll be able to not just have a scanner on it, but I'll be able to connect my storage system to it as well. So I'll be able to click on a storage location and have it flash a light or something on that actual storage location. So if I'm looking for a tub, rather than just having a barcode on the tub, I'll be able to maybe light up a light on the tub or something. So my plan is to do a hardware solution that works in tandem with this. But see, what happened was, typical Seon fashion is that I've done web pretty much my whole life, and I could have gone down the road of using what I know, like PHP and MySQL and whatever. But I decided, if I'm going to do this, let's learn something new. Let's do it in a framework that I've never ever used before, because I could learn something at the same time. And so I built this all with Flask, which is a Python-based framework. So not only am I building a system that's way more complex than I planned, but I'm also doing it in a brand new framework that I've never ever used before. And so I've just, as I said, it's gone down a really, really deep rabbit hole. But it's actually working kind of well. It's coming together quite nicely. And I'm trying to, I hate websites where you say, for instance, if I go to my part types and I want to go and edit this part type, I hate on a website where you click on edit and it takes you to a new page with a form. So I've made sure that everything here is dynamic. So if I click on buzzer, I click edit, it changes my edit down the bottom. It hasn't changed page. I can go and make it buzzers and then make it a switch. I don't know why I do that, and edit the type. And now it's a buzzer switch. I haven't had to, I hate the whole concept of page to page to page. The same with deleting. I can click on delete and I've got the option to delete down the bottom. I don't have to switch pages. So I've tried to build everything in a really intuitive way, really easy and simple to see. But I've got a lot more work to do. I mean, I can add projects and I can add parts per projects. And the next step that I haven't done yet is to add the storage system. So when you add a component, then you can add a bunch of, stock system. You can add a bunch of stock for that component. So I can add a bunch of reels for a particular component, or cut tape or whatever. Anyway, as I said, I've gone down a really deep rabbit hole. It's way more complex than what I was planning. I feel like I need to finish it now though, because I've started it. And so the idea is once this is all done, I'm happy with it. I'm going to, it's designed to run as a standalone. I'm not going to be hosting this for people. There's no user login system. It's not going to be a service that I offer, but it'll be something that I will open source under the MIT license. And if people want to use it, they can just go and download it and run it themselves. It's something I'm just going to share. But it's not something that I want to maintain as a website, if that makes sense. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been working on. So suddenly I find myself, oops, I want to do that. Sorry. Changing screens again. So I suddenly found myself back in software land and back in web development land, doing the exact thing that I decided I didn't want to do anymore when I started doing hardware. But I've got a serious problem here with my components. It's out of control. I've got 125 reels of components that are just everywhere in my office. These things are not on my pick and place machine, and I've got just hundreds of bags of components just in like this. I've got tubs of components all over my floor and on my shelf. I used to keep components with my projects, but now I've got too many components that are shared across projects. It's just out of control. And it's no different to really anyone that's working on multiple projects at the same time. But I can't track them anymore now. I did it with a spreadsheet for a while, and I kind of made do, but it's out of control. And I've started buying components that I've already got because I can't find them. And that's when you get to the point of buying reels of stuff because you can't find the reels that you've already got, then you got to stop and go, okay, this system isn't working. So I've kind of taken a break from my hardware while I'm doing all this because I need to solve this problem before I start any new projects. Sorry, there you go.
But you may have stopped doing it before, Seon, but now you're not getting paid to do it, so it's even better.
That's right. Where before I used to do this stuff that I didn't like, but I got paid for it. Now I'm doing it for free. Yes.
For the love of it.
Yes. And there's no love. I mean, I'm enjoying learning a new framework, but I'm not like I hate doing web stuff. Like it's whatever. But I should mention it's all bootstrapped, so it'll work on a mobile phone or a tablet. It's all responsive, so it's designed to. So you'll technically be able to walk around with it anywhere, like even on your phone. So yes, so that's what I've been doing, and I have no idea when I'm going to get this finished. But I put all of that together in like 3 days, and that's including learning the framework. So I'm pretty happy with what I've done with it, but I need to kind of get it finished so I can use it, because if I don't end up, well, that's the hardest part, right? Like, is having a tool and using the tool, the two different things. Like, once this is built, then it's how long it's going to take me to get all my data in there, and how do I make myself use it, and how do I make myself maintain it? You know, when I go and use some components, how do I make myself go to the system and reduce the amount of components that I've used, so I know when I'm running out of stock? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm hoping I won't fall into that trap. But anyway, yeah, that's my month. So it's been super, super busy. I feel like I need a holiday. Okay, go. Wow, silence. Cool. By the way, folks, if anyone's got any questions, just put them in chat. So has anyone got anything they want to just talk about? Any general news, industry stuff, anything?
Leo has a good suggestion in chat there. You should like physically lock the stuff and have the website control unlocking them. So if you want to get out like 100 parts, you have to like put that into the website, and then it unlocks the box.
And when it unlocks the box, it has to lock the door. So it will unlock the door when you put it back. So you keep.
But then I have to build like metal tubs for everything, like, you know, fully locked tubs.
Look, if you want to do it right, like, you know.
No, I've got another. I got a better way. How about I put things on every tub that if I touch the tub, it electrocutes me unless I've pre-assigned the data first. So rather than locking it, I get electrocuted. If I touch any component, now that could wreck the component.
There definitely might be some anti-static issues with that, or ESD issues.
It doesn't exist, dude. It doesn't exist.
It's a laser that will blind you when you touch the wrong component, or when you don't put it back or something.
Lasers. I can shoot myself with lasers.
It might actually just be cheaper to hire like a full-time like stock manager, like just get a minimum wage person to just control everything. Would be perfect.
Right, so I've got no income, and I'm going to hire someone to do the work that I'm too lazy to do myself. Really?
Gotta spend money to lose money.
Yeah. No, it's like I'm not the only one in this case. I mean, there's plenty of other makers that, I mean, I don't understand how Looney's tracking all of his components. How are you doing all of yours?
Okay, maybe I show it.
Well, he's coming back pretty quick.
So these are most of my reels. I started like a month ago printing. This is like if you look for SMD reel on Thingiverse, you will find that you can simply stack them, so you can put them together, and that's quite convenient to and I have every thing labeled, and then rising here the ohms from 0 to whatever I have, and if I get a new part, I can just put it in between or something. And these are quite convenient, since they have like you can see a nipple that you put like an EXO, and you can take out any reel that you need. And that's what I did to this, because it was going out of hand for me as well. I still have a huge reel with USB ports that won't fit here. So you probably have more of these. And other than that, I have mostly for each project, I keep all the project-specific components in just the box, the project box. So I find it there. Maybe I show it for the badge.
I do the same thing with mine. I just buy parts for the amount of PCB I have of a project, and I just put it in one box then. So it isn't great from accounting perspective. It's okay from an organization perspective. Like anything I need for the PCB tree is in this box, but I also don't have any idea how much of red LEDs I have left or whatever. So it's kind of bad from that perspective.
Right, but like I'm currently tracking. I've got 27 products in development or production right now, and at least 2/3 of those are sharing components. So like I can't do project boxes anymore. I bought myself, like I knew I had at least 1,000. I think they were 5.1K resistors, those 603 resistors. I knew I had them somewhere and I couldn't find them. So I bought myself another reel of 10,000. And the day the reel turned up, I found the box that had the other bag of resistors in there, right? And it's no big deal. It's like $1.50 worth of resistors. It's not the point. But now I've got 3 types of those resistors. I've got on a reel, I've got on a large cut strip and a short cut strip. And they're in 3 different locations in my office, right? And I remembered, like I found them. It took me like 2 weeks to find them, but now I don't even know where they are again now, and I've got, you know what I mean? Like it's,
I'm not wishing my setup on anyone. I'm just saying this is what I do have. I wouldn't recommend mine. It works okay, but I don't sell the quantity of stuff you do. So, yeah.
Yeah, but the big difference, Seon, you are doing it on scale, and that's not how we. So for my batch, I have that's maybe a little bit wasteful. But I just prepared for each component that comes in the kit. I have a separate box and I stack them. So each part is I cut the tape. So I need 10 components. Then I put it 10, how many badges I will pack. And that's stored in that box, and that stack goes somewhere. And when I need to pack new badges, I will just take this. But for assembly, I don't have the reels are the only thing that I don't want to put apart. So that's shared, yeah. But I just before the stream, it took me for the bomb. That's for this new project. So this is the bomb, and I had also to search for half of the components. I had to search even with the boxes and everything. I still didn't find 2 components of these, and had to search for them for half an hour.
Yeah, it's such a waste of time when you know you've got them, you just can't remember where they are. And it's not even small components. It's like modules and sensors and not even electronic stuff. I've got mechanical stuff. I've got shells of just boxes of screws. I keep buying M2.5 screws, and I know I've got them already, but I just can't find them. So I'm, every week from Ali, I've got more and more bags of screws and nuts and bolts turning up, and it just gets shoved on my shelf. And I've got, it's out of control.
Yeah, I have for the small amounts of parts, I have this component boxes there. So that's quite convenient. So I can sort them by type. So I have a section for regulators and a section for resistors, capacitors back there. So when I didn't use this surface mount components before, and also knobs and buttons and everything like that. So that's quite convenient.
Yeah, absolutely. And things like that you don't have to stick
that little box with similar stuff that can switch things. So MOSFETs, relays, whatever.
All of you have some sort of organization system, and I here. I'm going to turn my computer so you can see my work area here. It's stuff, and that's how every work area in my house is. You go out to my garage, you can see behind me here. There's just stuff piled on these shelves. I don't have any organization at all, and it's really bad.
That looks exactly the same.
3-hole chips are really neat. I've got these folders with the conductive foam in, anti-static foam, and so really good. My SMD components are all in this bag.
Oh yeah, bags. I have everything in bags.
and there's lots of like plastic boxes with just stuff piled in.
I mean, that worked for me for like 2 years. Like, no, it's no problem. There's nothing wrong with anything like that. I just, like, it's only probably in the last 2 months where I've started not being able to find things that I'm sure, like, I've got a pretty good memory, and I've always been right that I've had the things. I've just not been able to find them. And like for low value products, big deal. You buy some more. Like, reels of resistors are cheap, but reels of capacitors, you know, like, yeah, like where I used to pay $5 for a reel of caps, I'm now paying like $55 or $70 for a reel of caps. Like, I don't want to keep replacing stuff I've already got just because I'm too lazy to put them away properly. Yeah,
I bought a reel of resistors last night. It was like 5,000 0805 resistors. It was like $2.50.
that's crazy, isn't it?
Like, it was kind of like, why would I buy less than this? I'll just get a lifetime supply of these.
You think it's a lifetime supply, but you find it useful.
See, maybe one thing I thought in the recent time is when you design like a circuit or a board, you got like the basic circuit, let's say for the USB and stuff, and you have a bunch of resistors and capacitors. Like you have several, like 7.5K resistor, 10K resistor, and 4.3K resistor, and so on. But actually, you could, all of these resistors are like pull-up resistors or something. So you could actually unify your circuits, optimize for that, so you don't have to switch the reels, and you have most of the time the components that you are using constantly. You have it stacked on your pick and place machine. I think that's something that I started to think about because I have so much different capacitors and so much different resistors that are actually that's not of any use to have different values there.
No, I agree. And going forward, I've been standardizing all my stuff, but like, all my older stuff, like, you know, when I build reflow masters now, like they're completely different set of parts and sizes and anything. And like, I'm at the point now where I feel like just redesigning my reflow master to use my current set of components and abandon everything I've got just to make it easy for myself. But I've got, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars of other stuff sitting there that I'm going to throw in the bin just to standardize. And I don't feel like I feel like I want to get it to the point where I've run out of parts and then I'll move it over, but it kind of never happens. I don't know. So
I sell it on eBay.
What, the leftover components? If I can buy a reel of something for like $2, how much am I going to sell them on eBay for?
I bought if I just when I realized I missing some components, I'm buying off eBay like for a ridiculous price. I pay like €5 for 100 pieces or something that costs nothing usually. So that just depends on the shipping time, at least for me. So LEDs, buttons, resistors, capacitors, everything I bought off eBay at some point because I had some missing parts and I needed them instantly.
Here's some new feature creep for your software, Seon, to a Shopify backend to like automatically sell it on eBay.
Automating system, so it will wind down the reel and cut it automatically and put it directly in a bag, and you can ship it instantly.
We joke about that, but I would like that. Not as automatic as that, but like I'd like to be able to feed something in. Like I only sell kits, right? But you know, if I could have a thing that I need 8 of these LEDs, cut me 8, and I need like 20 of them. I know that's not a lot, but like, isn't, you know, anything that saves time would be good. And I know David Watts asked for the same thing, so somebody get on it. I will pay you not enough money for it.
Well, what I could do, I could track when a part's used. So it'll show me any part that hasn't been used for like 6 months. It automatically lists it on eBay for me. It doesn't even just fully automate. It's just a daemon running in the background, right? I don't even get a choice. This component's not been used for 6 months. It just lists it and sells it.
Your poor laser cutter would have gotten sold in the last.
That's true. That's very true. Cool. Okay, so I've got we're not doing a quiz this month, folks. So everyone in the chat is waiting for a quiz. There's no quiz. But I've got a question for everyone. And I've not pre-asked this, so no one, so I want everyone's gut answer, not a well thought out answer. So I'll ask the question, and I don't know if I should give my answer first or last. No, I'll ask the question. Okay, so I want to know from everyone what it is about making stuff. Like like a one answer, like a one thing. The most. Oh God, I've now lost the question. I can't believe it. What's the most exciting or the most impactful thing for you about the ability to make stuff? And I'm not looking for answers like, oh, I love the joy of making stuff. Like, I'm not looking at that. Like, what is it specifically about your ability to make something, whether it's electronics or doesn't have to be whatever, but you're making something, right? And so, like, for me, it's the ability to make something physical and tactile that I can interact with. Like, it's not about the looking at, like, making something and looking and saying, look what I made. Like, for me, it's the ability to actually think of something and then make it manifest into something that I can hold and use. Like, completely blows my mind. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm writing a bit of software and great. It's just like, I'm not interacting with the software. I'm interacting with the computer that's doing the software, right? But with with hardware, it's something physical I can make and hold and interact with. And the ability to do that completely blows my mind that it's possible to do that. Does that make sense? So going to Timon first.
For me, it's really about like getting all these things together and just making what I need. So I have a problem, I can solve it. Like, I have all these tools at my hands to solve whatever issue I have in my life. It's really like this power to do what I want. That's really what drives me mostly.
Okay, cool. James?
Well, there's kind of a mental itch that has to be scratched. It's I feel like I always need to be doing something and learning stuff. I've said before, I develop computer games for a living, but going back, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, I messed up in some way and became management. So there's chunks of time when I'm kind of foot to the floor, low-level programming, like recently. But there's also big chunks of time when I don't get to do very much of that. And so there's like a need to play with tech and learn stuff that you have to scratch outside of work if you're not getting it inside the office.
Okay, cool. Emily?
Yeah, so kind of like what you were talking about, like having a concept in your mind and then seeing it manifest in reality is a really good feeling. But what I like is that the concept in my mind and the reality are never exactly the same. And I'm really fascinated by how things actually turn out. And a lot of times they're close to what I thought I wanted to do, but there are significant differences. And it's cool to just feel the thing kind of evolve as it materializes in the real world.
Okay, cool. bitluni.
Oh, okay. For me, it's I like to cross the boundary, so or extend my own boundaries. So I love like the learning or the progress. So I have an idea. So like some of you told already, and then I think, oh, maybe I should try to make it myself, even if economically it doesn't make sense because you can buy stuff easily. But I think, okay, I could try to build it myself, and I do it, and I learn a lot along the way. So actually accumulating that knowledge, this skills, that's very empowering. So I feel like very, very strong, mentally strong at the end. So I especially when I success with projects, then I get the impression I could do anything. So that's what drives me to try new stuff and go to the limits of hardware and software-wise as well. So I did like demo coding or 4K intro coding, and I try to pack more features, and in small sizes and all stuff like that. So that's like that drives me and gives me a lot of joy. And sometimes I'm really making stuff really puts me in the flow. So I forget to eat and drink when I'm in the flow, and I can work for like 16 hours straight. And then at some point I remember, oh, I'm thirsty. Oh, and I have to go to the toilet, and I'm very hungry. And then take a break or sleep for 5 hours, and then I'm in the bed, and when I can get up and continue, but I'm tired, but I need to continue, and I can watch YouTube and learn this stuff and how is that done, and so on. So that's quite enjoyable for me.
Okay. And Brian?
How am I meant to follow up these answers? All of them were like immaculate. Okay. For me, it's definitely mainly about the challenge of something. So I've always had side projects on the go. It's kind of bounced around a little bit. Like it was game development at one stage, app development at another stage, and then about 3.5 years ago, I started playing around with Arduino stuff, and I think some of it as well is just like how kind of cool you can, or how interesting of things you can build for such little money. I know money probably shouldn't come into it, but it is something that kind of like excites me. Like I think it's super interesting what you can do with like a $4 board. It's not even $4. That was what I was saying 3.5 years ago. Like an ESP8266 is $2.50 now. Like I just think it's amazing what you can do with that board. Like there's so much possibilities with it that's just super interesting to me. And just the challenge of doing things with that is really fun. If I wasn't making videos, I would probably get projects to like 80% and never finish them again, because there's this curve of like how excited you are about a project, and when you get to the 80%, it's just like drops off a cliff. So that was actually a good thing about doing videos. The other thing, I've had a lot of joy in the last few years as well, being able to, like, I think Timon said it about like solving a problem. Like, I don't know if I could solve all my problems. I definitely have some problems that I cannot fix with making. But like, there's been a couple of times, like one that sticks out in my mind is I think I talked about it on a MakerCast before. Was about like my daughter when we were trying to get her to go to the potty, and like we were training her that if she went to the potty, she'd get like a sweet, and she figured out really quickly that if she just went to the potty, sat down, she was like, hey, you owe me a sweet now. And we had to introduce some form of a delay to this scenario. So like I had my alarm clock, wherever it is, and like in literally 10 minutes, like I just modified the code to like so that the buttons now added like time to a countdown timer, and now it was like, hey, when you sit down in the potty, you have to press that button, and when the buzzer goes off, then you get your sweet. And like it absolutely worked for what we needed it to do within 5 minutes, and it was just like such a nice feeling of, hey, I solved the problem. There's probably a million ways I could have solved it, like getting an egg timer or whatever, but this was nice. And she likes blinking LEDs and stuff too. I'd also, if people haven't been reading the chat, there's been a load of really good answers in the chat too. So I don't know, maybe go back through them as well. But like, yeah, some like people have also been answering this, and there's been some great answers, such as Bali saying he just loves buying stuff on AliExpress, and there's been more insightful answers too. But like, yeah, it's super good. Good question, and yeah, great answers.
Yeah, it seems like just from what everyone's been answering, plus what's happening in the chat, like a common theme, I guess, for all of us seems to be the desire or drive to keep learning or to push our knowledge base. It seems like, it's always been for me my whole life, the need to keep learning new things and moving on to the next thing and acquiring knowledge. Like the reason why I built this website in a brand new framework I didn't know was I took the ability to learn something along the way. But at some point, it's got to be more than just the learning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to.
Needs a purpose.
Otherwise, you'll never finish anything, right? Like, if it's just about acquiring the knowledge and not using the knowledge. Like, I like what bitluni said. Like, the whole, it makes you feel powerful is the wrong word, but it makes you feel powerful. Like when you build something and it works, or it semi-works, and then you work out how to fix it. That's even better, right? Because you've not only achieved something, but you solved something while you were achieving it. Yeah, it's kind of like a bit of a drug, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, you feel empowered to
Yeah.
Kids completely change. So Looney, I was like you, with the, staying up late and getting stuff done. Kids completely changed that for me. I'm just throwing that out there for you.
There's no more 16-hour working straight.
I'll be reminded that somebody needs food well before I need food. But one other thing as well is the process of sharing now as well. Like, I absolutely love seeing people use things that I've done to like further on and make it into other things. So like Emily did a lot of cool projects using the matrix board. I didn't really feel like I did a whole lot with that, but like she kept thanking me for it, so I'll take that. But and other stuff as well, like a lot of people, made like YouTube subscriber counters using the library that I made, and like that's such a cool feeling. Like just there 2 weeks ago, Great Scott made one. Like, isn't it? I've been watching Great Scott since I got into like electronics, and then for him to use something that I did, and I know Seon has one and Looney has one. Like, that's a great feeling. Like it's hard to top that. So yeah, that's another thing that drives the making for sure.
Yeah, I saw a couple responses in the comments that kind of like hit home for me, and that's that like sometimes like there's a lot of bad stuff in the world, and I get a lot of anxiety, and like just going out in my workshop and working and not thinking about like my rent and my job and politics and my neighbors and all those things. Like I just get to get all that stuff like out of my head for a while, for like 6 hours, 8 hours, like don't think about anything. And it's really good to like have something to like take the anxiety away for a while. And so, yeah, that's super true for me.
Yeah, that's like a counter movement. Making stuff is a counter movement to all that wars and all that bad things that happens in the world, since you are creating stuff from almost nothing. So creating things is like really positive.
Yeah, like we're in a very, we're the most technically advanced we've ever been as a society, but we've become a throwaway society. We've become a very consumer oriented. You go out and buy what you need. Like, people don't know kids don't know how to make stuff anymore. Like, I'm older than most of you here, I know that. But, like my kids play with Lego, but that's about as far as they go now. Or Flynn will often make stuff with paper and sticky tape. But like I had nothing when I was a kid. There was no electronics. There was no sitting in front of a TV screen for too long. Like, you had to go out and find things to do with your hands. Sorry?
A stick. Go out and find a stick.
Imagine what you can do. Get a stick and you break it in half and you got 2 sticks, right?
Yeah.
But now we're in a society where if you need something, you go and buy it. Like, you go online, you got a problem, you go online to buy the solution to the problem. But the whole maker movement is kind of reshaping that whole, hang on, why do I need to buy a solution? Why can't I make a solution? I think that's really exciting. But like Brian touched on it, though, that as a maker community, we seem to be very open to sharing far more than pretty much. I can't think of any other industry, because we kind of are, I guess, an industry, like industry or space that is so open to sharing and contributing as makers. Can anyone think of one? I mean, I don't include software development, like sharing open source software, but that's kind of different. I mean, if you're a software developer, you're still a maker, as far as I'm concerned. Like it's, but I can't think of anything outside of that has that same level of contribution and sharing and
photography.
But how? But you're shooting a photo, like,
and showing it to the world, aren't you?
Yeah, but that's like art. It's not the same because the camera's taking the photo. Like you might be the vision behind what you're shooting, right? But the camera's taking the photo. You can't share the camera with the world. You can share the result with the world, right?
I bet there's niches of stuff that are like kind of open and we just don't really know a whole lot about it. Like, my dad used to be into like boats on the lake or whatever that's near where we live, and like I would have always thought growing up that people who had boats were kind of a bit snooty, like, or I don't know, is that posh, but actually, they're a really tight knit community, and they'd always be like helping each other out with like their ropes, and there's no issues with like berthing on beside the next boat or whatever, and it's just kind of interesting. I'd say, I don't know for sure. Like, I've definitely never experienced being in a group that is more sharing, but I'm sure there's others that are like pretty open to like sharing stuff around.
I'm sure there are. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's stacks of them. I mean, Chris Cochran just mentioned like recipes, like food and stuff. But I feel like with your boat suggestion, it would be more about, hey, I built this boat, right? Here's the design, so you can go and build the same boat. It's different to helping someone about how to sail a boat, right? I'm talking about from a maker point of view, like I invented something and then I'm going to share how I invented it so you can go and make it yourself. Like there's just no regard to IP or ownership. It's just given, you know what I mean? Freely given. Like how many boat companies out there share their designs so you can go and make their boat for yourself type thing, you know what I mean? So just maybe a very bad example. Yeah, anyway. But that's what I love about the community and about the space.
I should buy a boat.
What's that actually from? I forget.
It's the cat meme. There is a cat reading.
Oh, yeah.
I should buy a boat.
I forgot about that.
Must be a European thing.
It's not. It's maybe it's an age thing.
So I'm just going to the chat. Yeah, like Tetra Print 3D, like you mentioned, like RepRap, but that to me, that's still maker stuff.
Yeah.
Like the 3D printing space is still maker. It's still, I don't know. I think maker encompasses a much bigger space than just electronics, for instance, or whatever. I mean,
RepRap is the definition of maker. I mean, it's a bunch of maker who made open source stuff and then shared that. And
absolutely, yeah.
I like Gavin's point about the parallel between the maker movement and the arts and crafts movement from like a century ago. And that's a really cool thing I didn't think about before. But there's totally parallels. And it'd be interesting to see if the maker movement develops along the same lines as the arts and crafts movement.
How about science, Emily? So like your day job as a science writer, right? Like I'm sure there has to be some kind of situations where on bleeding edge stuff where people are like just pushing out papers to like help further the field rather than just like for their own, personal.
Yeah. A lot of researchers, they're doing it for lack of a better word, for the community. The pinch point in that field is that the publishers have like so much control over what gets published. So even though the researchers might want to like share everything freely, like the publication houses, like they keep a lot of that stuff under lock and key and you have to pay for stuff. And like, so a lot of people complain like they want a research paper, they want to look at it so they can work on something else. And it's like, you have to pay $150 or you have to pay $200 for this paper. But I see researchers all the time tweeting that like, hey, if you want a copy of my papers, just email me and I'll send them to you, because like my publisher is going to try to screw you over, but like I'll just give you all this stuff for free. So it's it's kind of there, but like, until they get out from under the thumb of the big scientific publishing houses, like it's going to be restricted, which is unfortunate.
So, what do the publishers say when the paper authors want to give away for free? Like, do they try to stop?
So I think that like I've never looked at one of those contracts, so I can't say like what the stipulations are. I think that if like a researcher wanted to like mass host like distribution of their paper, the publisher would probably have something to say about that. But I think that they are perfectly within their rights to share the paper like with people who want it. But all the publishing houses are different, and some of the publishing houses like are starting to see like this is not a business model that's going to work forever. So some of them are starting to say like, all right, like forget it, like you have to buy if you want copies of our journal, you have to pay for that, but everything's going to be free online. But there's a few of them that are still like hanging in there and trying to be like tough about it. But I don't think it would be a really bad look for them to tell a researcher you can't share your own work with people. So I think that's probably a line they don't want to cross.
Okay. It's weird the need for them to still have publishers, I guess, in today's environment.
Right. And I mean, it's changing because of how things are. And that's why some of the publishing houses are like lightening up on this stuff. But a lot of it is just like, it's peer review stuff. And so you have to have a peer review board, and that's like where they get that's where their power is. Like you can publish something online if you want, but then it's not properly peer reviewed, and then like no one accepts it as like legitimate. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. So, does anyone else have anything they want to talk about? Does any questions for any of the attendees of the MakerCast from the chat? I've been trying to scroll back and see if there are any questions for anyone, but there's been so much chat. I've lost my way. While we're looking for questions, anyone else want to bring up anything anything exciting happening for next month? Do we want to do it, by the way, do we want to do a MakerCast over like Christmas, New Year's? Are we going to, because I think one lines up like pretty much right smack over New Year's.
Oh, yeah, New Year's Eve.
It's not
Sure.
New Year's Eve.
No,
it's not.
It's the 5th December. Sorry, I was in December.
Okay.
No, it's okay. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Sure, there's so many of us now that we'll have an army of people doing MakerCasts.
Yeah.
Start doing it bi-weekly.
Yes.
I'm just coming back from US for the next MakerCast. Maybe I won't be able to make it.
Oh, bitluni, what? You've been like part of the furniture.
That's actually funny. Bolly just mentioned that we've still got December to go. Yeah, I totally forgot about December.
Yeah, and we have the Hackaday SuperCon in December. All people from the US and all over the world, please come and visit us. Go to the talk, Emily's talk, and mine. I'm also on Sunday afternoon, I think. And I hope to see you there and shake hands and maybe drink beer or something.
I will be there.
Cool.
So, Timon, like, do you have any insight to, like, we want the inside scoop here. Do you have any insight on the Hackaday prize, or like, did they literally tell you, like, at the conference if you've won or not?
So far as I know, yeah. I will just sit there and then they will tell the audience, like in the live stream, they will be doing so.
If you win, the beer is on you.
It definitely is.
Depends how much he wins, right?
125,000.
How much?
125,000 is the main prize. So that would totally fund the project forever. But there's smaller prizes. So I think 5 like categories where you get 10,000, and like 3 or 4 where you get 3,000 euros for like honorable mention or something like that. It's like 50-50 chance to get something.
What was the category that you entered yours under? Because there was a lot of kind of production style ones this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, this year they had only one theme, really. Like in previous years, they always had these rounds of like 5 different themes or so. And this year was just product development. So make something that's reproducible and can be a thing. Which is totally up my alley. So that was nice. And it's the first time I've ever advanced in anything in that thing there. So that was cool.
So I was a Hackaday Prize judge this year, and they don't even tell us anything. So I don't have any insight either. That like I didn't even know, like, when they made announcements about who the finalists were, I didn't even know that they were going to be the finalists until I saw them online like everyone else. So
I was really worried that you were going to like perjure yourself or something. Like, I was Hackaday, you've won.
Are you allowed to announce that you're a judge? Like you're gonna get
Gonna get bribed.
right now.
Yeah. In the store.
So 3D printing professor wants to know what conventions or fairs he, she, they, I don't know, should plan for next year.
I kind of want to know that as well.
So there's one in LA. It's relatively small, but it was a ton of fun, and it's SparkleCon. It's literally hosted by a makerspace, and there was probably only 100 people that went. And even though it absolutely poured rain last year, the rain ruined half of it because it was pouring rain. And like, we're in LA, so we don't plan for rain. But it was so much fun, even with like half the stuff not coming through. And so like, I know it's probably not going to be on the top of anyone's list because it's small, but it was a really good time, and it's a really great community of people. So like, if you're looking for something, it's like January, I think. So I recommend it.
Sparkle what?
SparkleCon.
SparkleCon. Okay. So if you're in the States, probably a bit too far to go from Australia for.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'll
I mean, if
probably
you're in
make
Germany or Europe,
sorry,
always can recommend Congress. Chaos Communication Congress, like every year in between Christmas and New Year's. Bit of an icky timing, but it's the best thing ever. Like, if we can make it, make it.
Yeah, I didn't realize how massive that was. I've been looking into it since we chatted.
It's sold out in 1.5 weeks now. This time, like,
wow.
It's not sold out, but like the private, like, share you with your friends kind of tickets. It's 15,000 or something. Yeah.
It's massive. That's crazy.
Yeah, so for next year, I am going to make an effort to go to the Berlin Maker Faire. I think that will probably be heavily dependent on other people going to it too. Like, who is going to it? Yeah, okay, well, if bitluni's going, they gotta go now, right? Yeah, like, so I went to my first one there in Hanover in August, and while I did enjoy it, I wouldn't have enjoyed it massively if I didn't know the guys there. Like, as in, that was the most fun for me, was hanging out with them. Like, it was cool to meet other people, but I didn't really get to walk around the floor a huge amount either. So, but like, definitely just a weekend of hanging out with the guys was great. So I'm going to go to Berlin this year. That's in April 17th or that general time frame, and yeah, so that one, and Tiny LED Matrix is going. So yeah, let's do it. And Molly, that was not my YouTube subscriber counter, that was the Team Trees.
You wish that was your YouTube subscriber count.
Yeah, somebody asked me to pronounce a number there earlier. Ask Ryan to say 333.
Wow. Yay.
Wow.
That was hard for me. 333.
Yeah.
It's actually funny, just on the 3 thing, is like, I at the start of doing the YouTube stuff, I was trying so hard to not say tree the way I would normally say tree, that like I started to pronounce 3 like that, like being really deliberate to go 3. So even when I was talking about a forest is made up of threes. Like I was doing that because like I was just so in my head that I needed to pronounce the word tree 3. So yeah.
Just keep doing it, Brian. Just do you.
Yeah, you
I'll
kept
just
your
be
tree
me.
theme for your GitHub supporter. So everyone go to Brian's GitHub supporters page, and you got all the levels of trees there.
Yeah. 33 1/3 is like the second highest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the tiers for.
Yeah.
So for me, like I definitely want to get to Teardown in 2020, which is the crowd supply event. Also want to go to SuperCon. Like I planned to go this year, but it didn't happen. So SuperCon and Teardown are on the radar for me for next year. Unfortunately, both in the States and both at 2 very different times. So
Yeah, it's expensive.
yeah.
I think I will make an attempt to go to SuperCon next year too. That is heavily dependent on finances though, because like a flight to Germany is a lot more affordable than a flight to Los Angeles.
It's also the accommodation.
I paid 300 euros for the flight.
What?
Yeah.
I paid 700.
Yeah, but no baggage or something. So I just
Yeah.
Flap your arms the whole way.
I'm staying for 2 weeks even. So we want to get a camper van and drive around California for 2 weeks. And I don't have any clothes on me. So I'm like it will be like the 4th day when I'm giving my talk on the Hackaday. I won't have any clean clothes there, so maybe stink a little bit or something. But I plan just to go to Walmart, because I heard that you can get like $3 shoes from Walmart and trousers and t-shirts. So I will just pay like $10 and get all the clothes stored there, since
So I've got good news for you, and that's that there's a thrift store right next door to where SuperCon is, and so like it's like a minute walk, and you can just go buy secondhand.
Oh, great! That's great.
And they're really cheap ones. So you get like a pair of pants for like $5 maybe. So yeah.
$5.
Just got a big. He wanted $3. There's be big competition for that. All these people trying to save money on their flights just to go rocking.
Yeah, it got really ripped off. Like, when I wanted to book my flight, it was 400 euros. I was just clicking like the last button to finalize that, and then there was like, oh, sorry, there was an error. Got thrown back to the page, and then it was 700 euros, and never went down again. It's just like.
Yeah, I just booked the flight when Hackaday SuperCon was announced, so I just booked it directly. Yeah, but I'm going through London, so it should be even cheaper. If you are going from Ireland, you have to go to London as well, Brian.
No, we don't. We can fly direct. We've got airplanes here. Oh, fly direct, you mean because I'm in the UK and I could go straight from London to LAX?
Yeah, British Airways was it.
You could go to the airport, couldn't you?
Sure, it's so small. Like everything's just in our backyard. And it's funny, anytime I book a connecting flight because it's cheaper, I always regret it. Always. Like when you're booking stuff, you're like, yeah, I could definitely do a 4-hour layover, no problem. And then on the way home, you're like, oh my god, I would pay like €1,000 to be home that 4 hours faster.
Yeah, I always fly direct. I can't do stopovers, like, because for me, if I'm flying like from here directly to LA, like if I don't fly directly to LA, it's not like I'm taking a slight detour. I have to take like a complete, like there's nothing in between, right? Mm. So it often can double my flight, my trip time, not just add 4 hours. Like I'll go from like 19-hour flight to LA to a 27-hour trip. Like it's just crazy. So I always go direct now. So when I travel, that is.
On the other hand, like you think you have enough time, like, oh, I'm giving myself 2 hours between my flights, and then like you land and you have 15 minutes to get to your other flight. And at least here in the States, like the TSA moves as slow as they can. So getting it while you're waiting in line. So yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to run like full pelt. As soon as I hit like LAX, like you get off the flight, you just go and run. You don't even wait for the buses. You just go out and run and keep running until you get to the next thing. And I've missed flights several times. It's no matter how much leeway they give you, it's just the flight always arrives late, and then TSA, baggage, check, security. Like, I don't understand why you got to get security, and then get on your next flight.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And can I tell you, my very first time, just totally off topic, very first time I went to the States, and I was there, like, it was a work trip, whatever. I walked in, they customs stopped me, or security, whatever else. They took me to the side, they opened up all my luggage on the bench, looked through it all, didn't say a word to me. They were having a chat with each other about what they did on the weekend, right? While they were pulling everything out of my suitcase, right? And then looked at me and went, okay, thanks very much, and just walked away. And just my suitcases and all my stuff was just all over the bench, like everything, they took everything out. Mm-hmm. And I just stand there and repack it all and then go and run. And I missed my flight. No reason why they pulled me aside. No reason, nothing. No sorry, no anything. That was my first time going to the States. Yeah.
I was driving through Texas like 10 years ago, and we got stopped by the Border Patrol. We weren't crossing the border, but they can stop you anyway. And they like decided that my car had drugs in it, and so they pulled us all out and held us at gunpoint. And then they pulled all of our stuff out of the car, opened all of our bags, and just shook all of our clothes and everything onto the ground and let the drug dog look through all of it. And then they were like, okay, like all of our stuff is all over the pavement, and they didn't care. They just, yeah.
Well, that's a sign of people that really don't like their jobs, right? Like, not even a sorry or a sorry for the inconvenience.
Oh God, one of them like vaguely threatened to shoot my friend, so I think they were enjoying getting off on their power trip, which was great. You know.
Wow.
This might sound strange, maybe it doesn't sound strange, but I always feel super weird going to airports where like police people are allowed carry guns and stuff. Like, I'm just so not used to it. Like, as in Ireland, the average cop on the street doesn't carry a gun, and I'm pretty sure it's the same in the UK and probably other places too. So like, just seeing someone with a gun is like, whoa, wow, and it just I don't know, freaks me out.
Yeah, it's weird. And, you know, I don't even live in a place in the US where like civilians can open carry, but like, just, I mean, the cops are everywhere here, and they all have their guns, and like, you know, I don't want to be around them. Like, they get crazy, and so like, it's like you see cops just try to get out of there because like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, they're always up to something. So I don't know. It's a weird place.
Well, the local police don't have guns carried frequently, but occasionally you see specialist police who do. And if I go to the airport, they've always got guns there, like Gatwick or Heathrow.
Okay, interesting. I mean, all of our police in Australia obviously carry firearms, and all our security at airports and stuff do. But, you know, like I have less of a trouble walking around police with guns in Australia than I do walking around police with guns in America. Not just police, but anyone with guns in America. Like, I feel like there's, in Australia, they carry guns for protection, not for protection, for whatever. In America, they carry guns because they can, as opposed to because they need to. Like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's stop being political here.
Yeah, well, actually, good point. Let's not do that. Yes.
You lost like 1,000 subscribers.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, well, this stream's been going for almost 2 hours, and I think that's a really good time to maybe wrap things up. So, unless there's any last-minute questions from chat.
I like Dave Darko's comment.
What was that? I'd buy a gun for the spiders alone in Australia. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a gun's useless against the spiders. Maybe a big boot.
That's a joke from The Simpsons, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll send it to you after.
A big boot is not a solution because you will have in the morning you will have even bigger spiders inside of the boot.
Yes. Or in my sleeve. Yeah, whatever. We won't go there. Hello, Eric. Anyway. So, okay, that's it then. I think we're going to wind this down. What? I don't get it. A big boot, a shoe, or something, and anything, a book. The spiders aren't that bad in Australia, guys, seriously. I mean, they're dangerous, but, it's not like I've got 20 spiders in my office right now.
It's the kangaroos you want to look out for.
Yeah.
In Australia, that was interesting. It's like when to take a shower and there's this big toad just sitting there. It's like, what do I do? A giant toad just in the shower.
Really?
It was his turn.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, that's it. I have no idea who is hosting next month, but we will let everyone know. But thank you all for joining. Thank you to Brian and James and Timon and Emily and bitluni. It's been good fun. Anyone got any last minute things they want to announce? Anything? No?
I have one shout out. Look up Arturo 182 from last week. He got some really cool stuff coming up. I can't spill the beans, but some really cool things happening there soon.
Awesome. You're going to put them on your channel, Arturo? I hope so. You went no. Shh. Okay. Awesome. Anyone else?
At some point.
Okay.
Follow him on Twitter.
No news, nothing.
Arturo even has on GitHub supporters, and I can recommend to support the people. All the links to the channels and descriptions in the description down there. And if you feel like supporting any of us, do so.
I think the GitHub sponsors is going to become the replacement for Patreon for a lot of people, I think, which could be pretty cool.
For people,
but the first payout is after 3 months, so yeah.
Yeah, but they're matching payments for the first year, so you take and leave it. Just one thing to say: we won't be talking to the US people beforehand, but happy Thanksgiving, which is in a couple of weeks for you guys. So which I've since learned since I started working for an American company that is like a bigger holiday than Christmas, pretty much. So big deal. So happy Thanksgiving, Emily. Thanks to all the US people watching.
That's turkey time, isn't it? We all eat turkey.
Yes.
I have to replace the pumpkin by a turkey and just
as you put it in turkey. Perfect. Hi.
I'm very familiar with the significance of Thanksgiving because the game release publication dates all end up surrounding Thanksgiving rather than Christmas, where we'd expect it to.
So it's on the shelves for Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Generally, they like to have stuff out for Thanksgiving. But I will post a video at some point about what I've been working on the last couple of months, but it's under wraps at the moment.
Cool. Excited to see. Okay, so that's it, folks. Thank you all for joining, and go check out everyone's channels. And as bitluni said, go check all the links in the description below. And until next time, bye, everyone.
Ciao.
bye.
Bye.